this is a Bitcoin kid. Today I will be interviewing Jeffrey Tucker. Remember to come to my site and buy my book, The Scary Blueberry. Hi, my name is Jaden. Thank you for doing my interview today. My nickname is the Bitcoin kid. I liked books and my dad told me that you also like Bitcoin and books, so I thought it would be good to do an interview with you.
Well, I think it's wonderful that you're interested in Bitcoin because it's the first really new and good money we've had in something like 100 years. That's a long time.
Could you please tell me a bit more about when you learned about Bitcoin?
Yes. I think you've probably known about Bitcoin longer than I have. Uh, when did you got interested in it? Last year or 2 years ago, maybe? I don't know.
Dad told me about it like last year, I think.
Last year. So for me, I heard people told me about Bitcoin, but I just thought it was some crazy thing, just another goofy internet thing that I didn't have to pay any attention to. And then back in February of this year, I was in New Hampshire at a conference, and all of these Bitcoin people came and surrounded me and said, "Let me take you to lunch." So they took me to lunch, and they made me get out my cell phone, and they said, "Download the blockchain app. We're going to give you Bitcoin." So I said, "Okay." And they did. And Jaden, I'm sure you know what it feels like, but I realized for the first time that Bitcoin was real, that it wasn't just some mythical thing. And so that was just in February of this year. And ever since then, like you, I've been studying all about it every single day. And it's so much fun.
Okay. Oh, yes. My dad, he has on his phone, he's also downloaded the blockchain app,
Right.
and he has accounts for both my sisters, me, and my mom.
Yeah. Do you like to get paid in Bitcoin? Maybe for jobs or your allowance or something like that?
Mm, it's really an experience.
Right. Well, the good thing about it is that if you're paid in Bitcoin, then you can probably look at it go up in value. I think in the last week, you've probably been able to look at how your Bitcoins are actually uh, growing in value all the time so that you can buy ever more stuff with them. I mean, probably by the time you're in college, who knows, you might be able to pay for your entire college education with 5 or 10 Bitcoins. Maybe you'll be able to buy your parents' house with 50 or 100 Bitcoins. Who knows? It's a great way to get paid. And now, have you lost all your teeth yet?
I know I still have some baby teeth in there.
Okay, so maybe when the tooth fairy comes, the tooth fairy can pay you in Bitcoin for your teeth. It's something to think about.
Good idea. All I need is to get involved in the fairy post.
Well, I mean, you got to think about it from the point of view of the tooth fairy herself, because I mean, usually she's having to fly around with huge sacks of quarters and things like that. But if she has a Bitcoin wallet, then it's not a problem. You just kind of maybe she
All she
doesn't.
has to do is switch all her quarters and stuff into
Yeah.
it. Unless she uses this giant space laser.
Well, I was thinking that she wouldn't even have to fly anywhere, actually. She could just sort of lie in bed and give Bitcoin out to all the kids in the world as they lose teeth. The only problem with that is then, doesn't she have to pick up the tooth?
Yeah.
That's a slight issue. But maybe that's where the lasers come into being.
They
But
they turn them into ashes. Zap!
yeah.
Gone.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, if I woke up and I had a big pile of ash under my pillow and some extra Bitcoin in my cell phone, I think I would be mostly happy, actually. Yeah. But that's what's great about Bitcoin, don't you think, Jaden? Because you don't have to actually be there to spend the money. You
Yeah.
can give Bitcoin to anybody.
Can I please ask you a question?
Sure.
What were some of the outcomes of your recent Atlanta Bitcoin conference?
Oh, thank you. I wish you had been able to come. It was really fun because I had economists there and lawyers and technicians, web geeks and things, and we all talked together about what Bitcoin could mean for the future, and we all agreed that this is an actual viable money for the global monetary system. And if you think about it, that would just be really great, because right now, these extremely powerful people that are appointed by politicians are running our money supply, and they keep making everything worse. Like, the value of money keeps going down all the time. And nobody even knows how much there is or what's going on behind these big, scary buildings where monetary policy is conducted. And that's kind of a bad system in a free society. So with Bitcoin, as you know, it's completely different. Everything's open, and you know what's going on all the time. I mean, I'm sure you like to look at the blockchain, right?
Yep.
What are some of your favorite Bitcoin websites that you like to read?
My favorite Bitcoin websites? The Bitcoin magazine and my own.
Oh, okay. That's great. So you have a kind of a Bitcoin startup, and it's called the Bitcoin Kid.
Oh, yeah. And I'm also considering buying something from the Bees Brother website.
The Bees Brothers. What do they do?
They make honey caramel.
Oh, okay. And how much does the caramel cost in Bitcoin?
Like, really, like, at least pretty cheap. I don't remember because it's been a while since I've been on the site.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's so much you can buy now with Bitcoin. Have you noticed that you can buy T-shirts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Video games, that's what my dad showed me. That's what first got me interested. I'm like, ooh.
Now tell me, have you tried yet, Jaden, to do any Bitcoin mining or not yet?
No, we don't have that software.
Well, do you think? I mean, some people say it's not that it's hard to make money if you're mining Bitcoin. So where do you get money? Where do you get your Bitcoin? Do you do jobs around the house?
Yeah, that and my dad just gives me some time to time.
But did you have Bitcoin? Do you remember earlier this year when Bitcoin went really, really high in price and then it crashed down really low in price? Do you remember when this happened?
No. I actually haven't been looking at the chart of how much it is and stuff.
Yeah, because it went up to $250 or $260 and then fell again. And I'm sure that all the kids around the world that own Bitcoin got pretty scared because they saw their Bitcoin going down in price. But then if you waited, now only just a few months later, it's already back up again to 190. So it shows that sometimes it's best not to panic, right?
Yep.
So sometimes it's even good to try to get more when things are low priced and then maybe sell it at high price. But I mean, for me, I don't really want to sell any Bitcoin. I don't know about you. I just like to kind of keep it. Unless I have to have a video game or a T-shirt or a caramel.
Excuse me? What is the name of the book publishing company that you work with, and what does the name of the company mean?
Oh, thank you for asking. Yes, it's called Laissez Faire Books, which sounds a little hard to pronounce, but it really just means, it's a French word meaning leave it alone. So the idea is this. When the government gets involved in something, they always end up messing it up. So we're always better off just to have the government not involved in it at all, because then things just somehow they work better. And this is a view that's been held for a few hundred years. The problem is that governments really like to get their hands into everything all of the time. I mean, that's just sort of the way governments are. And it's a problem because, you know, you make money and then they tax it. You know, you try to start a business and then they try to tell you how to run your business. You know, they start wars. They do terrible things. So the principle of laissez-faire just means that, hey, you and I can manage our lives better than some politicians or bureaucrats in Washington can do it. And that's the message that we try to get out. So, of course, we're interested in publishing on Bitcoin because Bitcoin is invented by a person just like you.
Not my age, of course, right?
Well, we don't know. Maybe you're the person who invented Bitcoin. Maybe you're Satoshi Nakamoto, and nobody knows for sure.
No, actually, I would know. And I would be telling that.
Well, if you were Satoshi Nakamoto, I don't think you would be telling me. You'd probably be keeping it a big secret. But anyway, we don't know who did it. But the cool thing is that it wasn't somebody appointed by a politician. It was just a person who invented the money and just put it out on a website and said, if you like it, you can use it. And then within about 8 months, it started becoming valuable. So that's kind of an amazing thing.
I really like the book, Jonathan, The Adventures of Jonathan Gullible. And I know it's on sale on one of your websites. Do you have any book recommendations for me?
Yeah, I like that book too. That's a really good book. There's another really nice book about money called Whatever Happened to Penny Candy, and it tells the story about inflation and like why money is worth a lot less now than it used to be. There's a lot of really good books for kids. Maybe you're not old enough for it yet, but there's a really beautiful trilogy called Lord of the Rings. Have you read that yet?
Lord of the Rings. I've read the book that shows the stuff that happened before, and I've watched the first thing, and I've watched the what's it called? I've watched the Hobbit movie. I've watched like little bits and pieces of the Lord of the Rings movie, but.
Well, the thing I like about those movies is that they tell how societies function better where there's not powerful people trying to ruin their lives. And the ring in that book really represents a kind of power. So it becomes enormously dangerous to people. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, it's the only thing that's keeping. It's the only thing that allows Sauron, who's the bad guy and wants to rule all of Middle Earth.
Yeah, that's
it's
exactly.
the only thing that can make him, if he's killed, come back from the dead. If you want to kill Sauron, you have to destroy his ring. But the only problem is, if you keep the ring with you too long, you become corrupted and you want to keep it.
Yes, and without the ring, what happens to him?
His soul can't stay on the earth.
He's just a normal person, right? I mean, there's nothing particularly impressive.
No, he's like sent, like his soul can no longer, since he was killed already, his soul can no longer stay on the earth.
Right. So he's just mortal like anybody else. So this is what power does to people. If you think about all of the politicians and bureaucrats and dictators in the world, why do they have power? It's just because they've been given the ring, because we say you're powerful. But if they didn't have that, then they would just be like you and me. So I think that's a very interesting lesson. And I think you're exactly right about how the ring corrupts people if you hold on to it too long, right?
Yeah, like if you keep it with you, like it makes you're like thinking, like when someone says to you, like for example, at the end of the last movie, the friend of Frodo was like, throw it into the fire, and then he's like, no, it's mine.
That's it.
And I remember that final scene where like, what's his name? What? Oh, Gollum. He wants the ring. He was like near the ring so long that he wanted the ring so much that he went into the lava with it.
Yeah. This is if you think about the future of money, it's going to be a little bit like this because there's this institution called the Federal Reserve, and they're going to very much try to hold on to that ring of power as long as possible. And even though Bitcoin is going to be trying to take it from him, so this is our future too. Yeah.
Please ask another question. I really like books and inventions. I just published The Scary Blueberry, which is on sale for Bitcoin right now. How will Bitcoin change the world of book publishing?
Oh, that's a very interesting thing. I think the beautiful thing about Bitcoin is it means that anybody in the whole world can buy your book, even
Yeah.
if they don't have a credit card. And did you know that because like your parents have credit cards, and probably all your neighbors have credit cards,
Yeah.
but there's something like a third of humanity, like a third of human beings that live in the world, don't have credit cards. And what that means is they can't buy things on the internet. And some people, even with credit cards, can't buy things on the internet because they're not allowed to. So
Because
with
it's in another country.
another country, or it's too risky for the websites to process a transaction. With Bitcoin, they can buy your book. And they don't have to have a bank. They don't have to have credit cards. They don't have to have any of this stuff. They can live anywhere and not even have, you know, um, all they need to have is a cell phone. And did you know, Jaden, that some of the world's poorest people still have really fancy cell phones these days?
Wow.
Yeah, and that's because the cell phones are provided by private business people just like yourself, where the governments have not been able to get them electricity or even indoor plumbing or anything. Business people just like yourself have managed to get them cell phones. So what that means is that anybody in the world can buy your book. So you could sell 7 billion books.
At the same time.
You could, actually. That could actually happen.
Oh, I want it. Around the world, the same thing is happening. I want it. I want it. Yuck, yuck.
I think that would just be a glorious thing. You would be very busy sending out books under those conditions. Now, do you send your books digital copies, or do you just have the physical copies?
Well, we have a publishing company, and they're sending physical copies.
Okay, well that's great. I mean, that's great. And so if you can get mail, then you can get your book with Bitcoin, and that's what's great.
Yeah.
So the big problem these days is getting Bitcoin, which is hard, as you know, because they're scarce, and also because we don't have very good systems for getting out of dollars into Bitcoin. So people have to end up doing things a little bit like what you're doing, getting allowances or doing work or whatever. But that's just for now. In 10 years, how old are you, by the way?
I'm 9 years old.
Well, okay. So you're 9 years old. Okay, so in 10 years you'll be in college maybe, or maybe you'll be graduated from high school, or maybe you'll already often. But anyway, you'll just be a lot older in 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So, whatever you're going to be doing in life.
I'm gonna be 19.
You'll be 19 years old, and that's like practically a grown man. So in 10 years, Bitcoin is going to be hugely popular all over the world. And you know what's so great? When you're 19, you'll be able to tell all your friends, oh gosh, I had Bitcoin when I was 9 years old. And they will be amazed.
Yeah. How do you think kids may start to learn about Bitcoin? Like through advertisements, or saying, or like the games they love, like that they really want, like right underneath says, "We accept Bitcoin," or how? How do you think
Yeah.
they might?
Oh, I think that maybe it's going to be part of your job to help the kids of the world learn about Bitcoin, because I think you can speak to kids probably in a way that I can't, because you know what kids care about, right? So I think you have an important job to do here in educating the kids of the world about Bitcoin. Hey, and you know what? There's something else too that's very interesting. I don't know if you know this or not, but it turns out that kids are a lot better able to learn things than adults. Like adults, it's
Yeah,
true.
because like adults, they think we know everything.
Yeah, they do. And also as people get older, their minds get slower, and they're not good at getting new information. But you can learn stuff just really, really quickly. And so it's very possible that the kids of the world can be smarter about Bitcoin than the adults of the world, actually.
Yeah, they could be like, I want to make a time machine. I could use Bitcoin to buy the pieces.
That's it. And yeah, and also, you grew up in this world. I mean, you've been probably playing with iPads and computers.
iPads, yes. Computers, yes.
Yeah, most of your life, right?
Actually, ever since I was like 6, no, like 7.
Okay, so last 2 years. But I mean, adults, they were a lot older when all these things came out. And maybe you've noticed this, that adults are not very good at computers and stuff. Like you're probably better at running iPads than maybe some of your friends' parents.
Yeah, yeah, but there's one reason I need my parents' help at getting apps on my iPad, like games. Only my mom knows my password for getting it.
You mean you don't know your password?
Yeah, she thinks I'll be like, let's buy this really expensive thing. Click,
I don't,
click.
I don't know why she would think such a thing.
Actually, I probably would do it.
Well, it seems like maybe she's just waiting for you to get a little bit older.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's right. That makes some sense. And I'm sure you appreciate that. Well, do you have any other questions for me? I'm very excited about the work
Just one last thing.
Okay.
Lastly, what are some of your dreams that you have for your work?
Oh, for my work. What do I do? I want to, just like you, I want to invent new things. I want to take all the spectacular inventions of our time, like Bitcoin and iPads and computers and things, and I'm going to combine all those to make something totally new, something the world has never seen before, something that will surprise and shock people in the same way that Bitcoin has. That's really all I want to do. I want to make new stuff. What about you?
Well, I just want to make something that kids can enjoy, and I want them to be thankful for the kids of the future when I'm probably an adult. I want to tell they'll have all this technology and stuff, like like they will have food factories in their kitchens.
Oh, right, exactly.
And
Well, you know what's so...
I'm gonna tell them that if they think this is lame, I'm trying to teach in a fun way. I try to teach them to be thankful that they didn't live in my time, because compared to then, right now will probably be pretty difficult.
That's a funny thought. I hadn't really thought of that before. Because did you know that when I was 9 years old, we didn't even have things like email. There was no way that you and I could have ever spoken to each other. Well, you weren't alive, but aside from that,
was there, there's no way we could have spoken to each other without meeting in person.
that's it. And to get a message to somebody, you had to do things like write it out on a piece of paper, stick it in an envelope, put a little stamp on it, and give it to a government employee to carry it to somebody. Or you could tie it around a pigeon's leg, or stick it in a bottle, and put it in the ocean and float it. Or
But then there's no guarantee it would get to its
No.
destination for the last two.
No, I think that's right. You could also do things like send smoke signals, too. But those are, I don't know, I'm not very good at reading smoke signals, really. I don't know. Are you good at reading smoke signals? Do you know what those are?
I do, but basically they're like as if you see a random smoke signal just coming out of nowhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where you don't, where and you go closer and you see an island, you just have the location is always crucial to knowing what it means.
Yeah, and also, how do you even know that it's a signal? I mean, you might just think it's just smoke, right?
Yeah.
So that's a problem.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they're not very good. So I didn't have very good technology when I was a kid. So we have wonderful technologies now. But you're exactly right. In 10 years, 20 years, everybody's going to look back. You're going to be telling stories about all the sad hard times that were around when you were 9 years old. Because there'll be
Thank,
so many meat things.
thank, thanks for this interview. And
Well,
is there anything else you'd like to say before we leave?
well, I would like to say that I think you're an amazing kid, and I love your vision of the future, and I hope you never stop learning, and that you never stop teaching all the kids of the world about Bitcoin. I think the Bitcoin communities should be very happy to have you. So congratulations, and also let me say it's been a great pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. That wraps up our interview, and as I like to say, ka-ching!
Ka-ching. Take care, my friend.
Take care. Thanks to Jeffrey Tucker for giving us the interview. Come to my site, Bitcoin Kid, BTC Kid, to buy my book, The Scary Blueberry. Until next time, ka-ching!